So we're going to go ahead and get cracked in on the A-10. Setting expectations. I love the A-10. I really do. It's a fun machine. It's something that is very nostalgic for me because I grew up right near them, right? Fairchild was building them 10 miles from my house, and I saw them all the time. And I know I mentioned it all through this video or all through this series, but set expectations. I'm not going to focus on hyper detailed accuracy. I want to make a representation of an A-10 that is going to look nice on my shelf. So just setting expectations. Feel free to have suggestions, comments, queries, put them down below. Just be respectful, but also understand I'm not going for hyper accuracy and hyper perfection. I'm going for something that looks good, and I am going to kind of stretch. So let's go ahead and jump into doing that. All right. So first decision, which cockpit? You have this one, which comes in the kit, which is in its own assembly and doesn't look bad, right? Or I did pick this up, which is theoretically for the HobbyBoss, right? So I have not looked in this one yet, so let's take a look in this one, see what we're doing. Well, got to get it open. I thought I had all the staples removed so I could actually just smoothly and deftly pop this open, but of course that was a nice cool idea that I failed to execute on nicely. So much for being suave and smooth. All right, let's pull these parts out. Now, typically there's some minor fit issues, but clearly that does look better. Now, the thing you've got to do with this, right, is this also has the HUD and all that to do. There's your instrument panel, the ejection seat, and I mean, because that's the ejection seat, and then this is the ejection seat here for this one. Question is it going to be worth the effort to go through all of this plus the modifications you'll need to do to get this to fit in, or use that and this? I'm kind of thinking maybe for this one, I use the kit supplied one and just the Edward. Let's try that. I think that we're going to do. We're going to clean this up because there's flash and so forth. So there's work here. But I think we're going to go ahead and start and use the Edward rather than the Aries, just because. I'm going to put this back in the box, and then we're going to go ahead and get cracked in. So let's see what we can do. So getting that done required cleaning off all of the raised detail on the cockpit tub and everything, which, isn't hard. It's just, take patience and takes time. But it does, just take the effort and you can get it done. And then you can kind of see how there's like multiple layers, like 1, 2, 3, 4 layers just to get the one instrument panel done. But I kind of feel it's worth it, right? Take your time, be patient, and it comes up looking pretty nice. And given what I had to do and given the options, I'm kind of happy with having made this choice. The way it ends up, it's a pretty good look for me. I'm happy with it. I've got the cockpit as done as I'm going to. I used a little bit of the Edward set and followed, for the most part, this. And I've got the cockpit where I feel like it'll be okay. I am probably going to replace the HUD, or at least I'm going to try. I've tried to do 3 HUDs that are photo etched, and I have failed each time. So we're going to try number 4. But that's our cockpit. I did the photo etch seat belts for the base. I didn't bother with them because they're molded in, which meant I would have had to sand them off, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. They're okay. So we'll go with that. I think I probably should have like 2 others that should go in there, but I'm going to wing it. Okay. The other thing I do want to call out as, are you freaking kidding me, is this thing. Putting that together, okay. Putting this together is that. And essentially, they have you build all this and then stick it on. I mean, as it is, just this piece doesn't really fit square. So you have to really fiddle to get that square. And then you start putting these on, and the orientation isn't really, and yes, I'm missing that piece right there, but the orientation for all this really doesn't help. This is very difficult to get that oriented just so. And once you get that put in, because that's how that goes on, right? And once you get that put on, then that goes in there. But you can see it's essentially the belt feed and that piece that put that together, and you have to orient it in. Now I'm going to have to go back a couple of times and just sort of re-square this up, square that up again. And that's to get, and that's actually straight-ish. And what I've done is I've got this sitting kind of like this on a place and just up a little bit so that it's solidifying that way. But I did want to call out, I mean, really, that's a pain. So I do need to go ahead and put that one piece in. And that's that guy right. Where is he? He goes. He goes there. There we go. He goes there. So I need to get C-18, drop him in there. Might as well do that right now while I'm thinking about it. But essentially, that's what we've got to deal with this thing. So just be aware. I'll move on. I'll go ahead and get that done and move on to the next step. So yeah, I realized that after I got the gun sort of together and I started to worry about the painting for it, I realized that the A-10 is tail heavy. So it needs to have weight put in the front. So what I've done is I actually pulled the gun assembly back out and pulled out one of my, where'd it go? Here we go. My black powder 75 caliber balls, pounded it so that it would fit into the drum. So I can actually put weight in there. And that's what I'll do is I'll get this stuck in there and glued in. And then that will be the weight that will add weight to the nose. And it'll actually be in there. And I'll probably have to find some other space, but that will definitely help. So I actually wanted to call that out because that was something I realized, of course, after the fact, which is, after you go ahead and put a little glue on. But there we go. All right. So moving on to step 2, finally. And I'm just going to call this A because it's those sprue gates are a pain. And that's not the only place where we have that challenge, but those are a little bit better. But cleaning the sprue gates up are going to be a thing. So we'll get to those. All right, so once you start putting the fuselage together, then it's cleanup time, and you really need to. So there's some very noticeable steps between the fuselage parts. So to sand all that down, you need to take the time to do that, but in so doing, you also lose your rivet detail. So I have the riveter tool here, but I also have like a single pin, but between those, you can get your rivet detail put back in. You just need to take the time to just do it. So the other thing that it was at this point, it was time to go ahead and put the canopy on, which meant masking it. And this is the process I use for masking it. It's pretty simple, just taking painter's tape, because it's got a low tack, but it's tacky enough, and then go around. Now, fortunately, this has a frame on the glass, which makes this easy. So you just take the toothpick, press it into that corner, and then very, very lightly score it with a sharp new blade. You just work your way around that edge and do it. And this is how I do most masks when I have to do masks, whether it's for canopies or for other panels or whatever. Use a toothpick to go ahead and score using the surface detail of the model when you can, and then just lightly score it with a sharp blade. And the cool thing on painter's tape is just peels right off just like that, and you end up with a decent look or a decent result. And once once I got that done, I could go ahead and put it on the model, and that was annoying, right? It was just a bit of a pain. I needed to clamp it, but I got it on, and there we go. And you also see I've got the wings on. Needed a little bit of filler, but they actually went on really well. They snapped right in, very minimal filling, so that was nice. All right, so I'm at a decision point, and I am going to go ahead and go sideways. So I have this just sitting on its, I have this thing sitting on its landing gear just so I can get a look, see how it goes. Did some looking at what engine, the engine of an A-10 looks like when it's in maintenance. Now here's the interesting thing. There's not a whole lot of pictures of it, and that cracks me up. I don't know, is it because it's, classified or whatever, but I can't find a whole lot of pictures of the A-10 with their engine cowlings open, but there's enough for me to be able to work with. So my thought is I am going to go ahead and do one engine open. So I went and I got some aftermarket for that. What I will need to do, so let's move you over here, and let's grab this. So what we see here is an issue on the inside. So we have ejector pin marks. So I'm going to have to deal with the ejector pin marks for at least one of these. So this one, whichever one I've got to do here. And looking at this, there's the mount, and there's all those ejector pin marks. So I'm going to clean those out. So I had this on so I could see how that looks. So I'm going to need, I'm thinking I'll work on this one. Now the engine's going to take up most of that space, but there's room in there, so I do need to detail up the wall so it looks nicer. So I'm going to try and get some better look in to see how that goes. But there's ejector pin marks there, and in all of this. Now also, the inside of the cowling, there's ribs that need to be replaced, and I think I have a picture here. Right? And I guess, and that should do it. So that'll take care of the parts that are in the kit, but parts that are not in the kit of the engine, that's what's in the kit. This is what I went ahead and got. So I picked this up. I think this was off Evil Bay. It's a 3D printed part. So let's take a look at what's in here. And what I saw looked really pretty cool. So, and I can't tell if that's intended, if that's an artifact of how, I think that's just how that goes together. But that detail, these are the hose, the exhaust detail. There's your intake. A little bit of cleanup necessary there. It's also, I don't know if this is also reusable, so it's possible, but there's that fan and that inside part of it. I think that looks better depending on how this has to go together. So doing that, mount the exhaust piece, cowling. That looks awesome, right? You see that? Come on, focus. There we go. That's looking good. And then that will work, right? So all of this, I'm going to pull just one of those out. What I will do is I will assemble one of these, but that detail will help make all of this work. You know, I think that'll make the open cowling look pretty cool. I'm not going to do both. I'm just going to do one because it's, you know. Let's look at the instructions. So this is pretty straightforward, right? So that's how you put together the front part. That goes over there. Tells you exactly how to put all these pieces on. And yes, that open slot goes into there. And then there's your mount, which goes into your engine. So this is really nice. So I've gotten some 3D parts from other folks, and there hasn't been anywhere near this kind of detail or work. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to move on and actually start cleaning up those parts, clean up those, blah, blah, blah. Come on, clean up the ejector pin marks. It's going to take a while, but I'll get to doing that, and then we'll see about getting that installed. For the most part, though, this is the last of the major pieces that need to be done. Because once I do the engine, right, I do the engine, drop that in, and then it's little detail pieces, and it's done. And it's do the armament, do the missiles, and paint it. So I want to get the engine done, then I can go ahead and, you know, mask it off to paint. Here's something else I wanted to point out. And I may have pointed this out already, but I can't remember because I'm filming this and such thing. That part is part F21. So if you're going to do door open, this is great. If you're going to do door closed, are you freaking kidding me? There's a big old ejector pin mark right in the middle of that. So that would be right there. So fortunately for me, I'm not going gear up. I'm actually doing this thing gear down, and I can go ahead and open with the ladder. But man, really? Also, color callouts. This much I know is wrong because I've seen pictures of this, and these are actually silver. They're not black. So, there. Right, that was one. So I'm going to go ahead and get to that, and then we'll see where we are in a bit. This engine detail kit was really nice. The parts looked fantastic, and they went together very well. The cleanup was almost non-existent. Ended up giving them base coat, quick wash, and really come up with a nice looking result. The dab of CA glue and a little bit of time, and these go together just right there. That's what you see. It took probably an hour to put it all together, get it painted and everything. That was it. So the result was okay. The other thing I did do was put the ribs on the cowling. In retrospect, there should have really only been one or two, not all of these, but I'm going to accept that difference as it adds interest, and it is what it is. That's about it. So yeah. All right, so I've gotten pretty much the assembly done. I still need to go back, do a little bit more fill here and here on these seams. The fact that they were painted to the inside, they sort of seep through the seams, that makes them stand out a little bit more. A little more cleanup there. I have this door on, the inside's painted white, and I have gone ahead and masked and blocked using sponge the inside of the doors here. So it's pretty much ready to paint. Now, the three colors I don't have I don't really have, like, you know, in hand. They say they're calling out olive drab, black, and white insignia. What I see is light green, dark green, and engine gray. I think those are the colors I'm going to go with. So I think I'm going to lay it down with I'm going to use the base coat of dark green, and then come back with airbrush camo of the light green, and then it says engine gray, but I think I will go with Where is it? Black gray. Here we go. Vallejo black gray. So those are going to be the 3 colors I'm going to use. I also am not going to, what's the word? I'm not going to lose sleep over the camo pattern. I'm going to sort of freehand it. Again, simply because I'm really not that bent out of shape about the pattern itself. I'm just going with the colors. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get cracked in on that. I did have, oh, by the way, I did go ahead and do the sort of look at the engine. Here we go. And, you know, I've already talked about that, but, you know, the engine's in here. I've got it masked. I've done some updates, put the ribbings in here for the door. And really all I'm going to do is kind of mount that here so it'll stay put, so I can get the camo lines to sort of match up. And that's really what I'm after, because I'll have a line across here and a line across there, so those will match. Yeah, so we'll go ahead, we'll get a base paint down, and we'll move from there. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video here. It's gone on longer than I anticipated, but basically the gross assembly is done. We've done the detailed cockpit. We've done the engine, which was actually really cool. It was a lot of fun. Already mentioned, you know, that I'm not super accurate on the cowling, but okay, I'll deal with it. So now the next step is to actually go ahead and do the painting. I've got to think about how to do it and so forth. But that will be for the next video. So we'll get the painting and weathering, and we'll touch base on that. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Please, those who want to, please feel free to shoot some comments down below. Again, feel free to offer suggestions, hints, tips, whatever. Just please keep them respectful, because I do know, you know, this is not perfect, and I'm okay with that. I'm just learning to stretch my skills and on a subject that I enjoy. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time, happy modeling.